Okay, I think I'm back. They really tried to shut me down. I don't know if it's for the game in the is the game in the back that loud? I don't think it's that loud. Couldn't be for the NFL game. I think Mike Alford is tired of me talking shit. I don't know. Uh, I think I'm back though. Yeah, I'm back. I had to shut down, restart it. It's all good. Yeah, I had to restart it. Why not? I wasn't done. I don't even know where I left off at, but I wasn't done. I promise. I was not done. I was still going. We were still going strong. We're having fun. Talking about 20. Um, I don't even know where I was talking about before. Oh, the Packers just scored. Mm, I think that might have just secured that game. Thought the Bears were making a comeback. Now, where were we? I think we were talking about Sperry and the possibility of. It's crazy because man, we had 70 plus people in here. Now we down to 15, but that's okay. Maybe they'll come back. Maybe they won't. We'll see. At the end of the day, hey, stop coughing over there. Um, we were talking about Kevin Sperry and the philosophy of building a team around him or building a team or putting all the pressure on him. Um, my thing, we get into my what I think personally. Kevin Sperry is. I, I hear what everybody's saying or what some people are saying, but Kevin Sperry is being treated like Chuba Purdy should have been treated in years 1 and 2. Now, granted, I know Chuba Purdy was hurt in year 1. What am I saying when I say that? When a new coach takes over, that's usually what a new coach does. New coach usually rides with his quarterback, whoever that is. In today's age, you bring a transfer portal guy over or whatever. In the past, it was whoever the coach recruited. That was the coach. That's that coach's quarterback. That's who's going to lead. That coach is going to ride or die, per se, with that quarterback. Doing this with Sperry in year 7 to me is that's my problem. That's my problem. Doing this with Sperry in year 7 is my problem. This makes sense with Chuba Purdy in years 1 or Tate Rodemaker. And to be fair, they did try that with Tate Rodemaker, but he was so bad that Jordan Travis had to come in and save him, only for them to bench Jordan Travis again. But that's neither here nor there. I just in year 7 going with a redshirt freshman who this isn't 5-star Jameis redshirt freshman. This isn't Johnny Manziel level of redshirt freshman. This isn't Tim Tebow, whoever. Bunch of redshirt freshmen have played, but a lot of them were pretty well like scouted. They were these young players were highly touted coming out of high school. Hey, stop coughing. Cough again and see what happens. Um, Instead, we're talking about 3-star /4-star, depending on what website again you look at. Kevin Sperry. And that's in year 7 what were, I mean, cool. Before the Ashton Daniels signing, I was vehemently against it. I'm still against it, but at the same time, if you're going with Ashton Daniels in year 7, it can't be any worse than Kevin Sperry. And maybe Daniels will come in here and prove me wrong and light the world on fire. I mean, yeah. Can't be any worse than Kevin Sperry, I guess, at this point. So normally I'm 100% like I'm against that. When the big quarterback get in the offseason is Ashton Daniel, it's no different than last year or the year before that. Last year, y'all know I didn't want Thomas Castellanos. You could have rolled. You might as well. You could have rolled with redshirt freshman Luke Kromenhoek. Granted, I know Luke Kromenhoek's career is going down the toilet as we speak, but it didn't have to. Or how about 2 years ago, where, if y'all remember correctly, I was very adamant: do not get a transfer portal quarterback. Ride it out with Tate Rodemaker. It's a rebuild year anyway. You're just coming off 13-1. They went all in 2023, which we know they did. They went all in. Made a lot of sense. Unfortunately, came up short, not for any fault of their own. In 2024, you should have just rolled with Tate. Nope. You thought you could run it back. You go out and get DJ. In my opinion, that's one of the major blunders that has started this whole downfall. I know people aren't talking about it, but when they, in essence, betrayed Tate Rodemaker, a guy who stuck with you for 4 years, a guy who was a key when his number was called before then, before the Georgia game, when Tate Rodemaker's number was called, he always was there for you. Got a concussion for you just 2-3 weeks prior in the Florida game. Came in against Louisville and lit it up. Remember how ecstatic, like, wow, Tate Rodemaker can actually play football. And when they betrayed him and didn't ride with him and went with DJ, it set the precedent of what you've seen thus far. Since then, it's why I believe it's one of the reasons. It's one of the reasons I believe this team has fallen apart since then. It's at that moment is when the players knew there was no loyalty to the homegrown talent. At that moment is when the players knew I could be here, work for 4 years to get an opportunity, and they'll just transfer portal over me. I think it all went downhill from then. So I'm saying all of that to kind of compound this whole Kevin Sperry thing. The Sperry thing should have happened 2, 4, 5 years ago. To do it in year 7 is counterproductive in my opinion. The problem is bringing in a no-name quarterback in year 7 is also counterproductive. So what do you really do? What do you really do? I can't even answer that question. I couldn't even answer that question for you. I feel like YouTube messed up my night, man. We had a good amount of people in here, and now we only got 10 folks in here kicking it. unfortunate. Yeah. Now it's like makes me want to it makes me kind of want to shut it down at this point. But I love how Coach Norvell and Coach Cooper are trying to change the program around, and I definitely want to be a part of that and get developed by best on and off the field. That is CJ Richards' quote. CJ Richard, that's his quote. Yeah, he's about as delusional as the fan base and everybody else. If that's his quote, yeah, he needs to stay in Illinois State. Okay, I appreciate y'all. For those that are still here, yeah, I'm chilling. So we can keep rocking. Look at that, 9.99 super chat. Appreciate that. How many more yards do you think we have to talk about this? More years, excuse me. Do you think we have to talk about this? I was 100% against bringing Jimbo back last year, but I'd welcome him with open arms now. Hey, nostalgia, appreciate that. 9.99 as always. Clickety clank, clickety clank. The money goes into my piggy bank. Bears just scored, so this game's getting interesting at the down the stretch. Bears are not dead in the water. They answered right back. Shout out to the Bears. Um, I'll be honest with you, man. I think there's no way they don't want to fire him. So if he makes a bowl game next year, meaning six or better, he's coming back in 27. But there's no way if he goes 5-4, if he's below 500 again next year. I mean, we said it this year that we didn't think there was a way, but there's no way. There's no way that the people in charge, and I'm not even talking about Michael Alford. There's no way Booster, the major donors, there's no way they can sit idly by and let this man go 3 straight losing seasons, 5 and 7 years. Like that's you can't justify that. So to answer your question, how many more years? Look, I'm not rooting for FSU to be bad next year, but you have to let's just be honest, right? The truth, the goddamn truth for a reason. That's what we say, what I say, right? I mean, come on. The hope is next year's the last year. Unless a miracle happens and this guy wins 9, 10 games next year, the hope is next year is the final year. But I can't put anything past this administration to this point because they have not shown that they know what the hell they're doing. What's your platform? I have no problem talking ball. What's your platform? What's your channel? The way I see it, who on last year's roster did anything against Miami, Florida, and Clemson? Do y'all think Alfred and Mike are tied together even though Alfred didn't hire Mike? Yes, because in a weird circumstance. So, do y'all remember when Mike Alford was actually hired and what his what his actual title was. It wasn't AD when he was actually hired. Um, and who hired him? Your AD was hired by your head coach and later on became the AD after the fact. Go back and look at that if you don't believe what I'm saying. And I agree. I think they both have, and that's kind of what I'm getting at is they'll both have to get canned. There's no way that again the powers that be, not the AD, would have to make that decision to tear the whole athletic department to the ground, person, essentially. Um, hold on, not background noise. Bronny says it's not so much that they are tied together. It's as it is, the big money isn't gonna allow Alfred to take the next higher after this mismanagement of an extension. Novell ain't win 9 to 10. I agree with that. Um, I'm an FSU fan, man. I hate the fact that we're giving Novell another chance. Like we've seen enough already. Um, we should have. Alfred wasn't hired by Mike. He was hired by the boosters. Again, go look at when he was hired and what his actual title was when he was initially hired to the. I'm not talking about when he became AD. I'm talking about when he was hired. What was that role and who announced that hiring? Anyway, um, yeah, for sure. Man, as soon as the Bears was making this comeback, now the Packers were they driving right down the field. If the Bears are so the Bears need to force a field goal here and try to get the ball back. And let's see what Caleb Williams can do. We need to be digging dirt up on Mike. He got to have a side piece. Look, at this point, everybody keeps saying Mike Norville's a good man. Yeah. he, I guess he has no skeletons in his closet. So, yeah, as of an hour ago, I'm actually just now seeing this, but I know all of you guys were uh, putting this in the chat. Florida State freshman Javon Boggs has withdrawn his name entirely from the portal. So, again, that is good news. That is good news. I know we having a chill for y'all in the championship game. It'd be nice for y'all to cheer. I think you're talking about cheer, Lenoris, and definitely not cheering for Miami. I'm sorry. Good luck though. Here's some truth for you. Novell got us looking at the Division II school. I bet Bobby Bowden is turning over in his grave. This is so disgusting. Adrian, come here. I haven't seen Lil Wayne commit anywhere. Last thing they were saying, I did hear NC State and I heard Louisville, but I haven't heard he's committed to any school yet. How do we fix the problem? This problem we are in now. One second. Oh boy, the Packers just missed the field goal. The Bears got a shot, y'all. The Bears got a shot. This is where Caleb Williams has a chance to make his mark. But to answer the question, how do we fix this problem right now? You got to fire the coach. And honestly, you got to fire. At this point, it's apparent that uh, you have to fire everybody making decisions. Like, everybody that's made the decisions up until this point needs to be let go. But it starts with the coach. Because none of this even happens if the coach wins. If you win football games, then even the decision making that has been questionable gets looked over because you win football. You have to, at the end of the day, your job is to win football games. IU fans up here already starting their victory parade and they're talking trash. Not looking good for Mike and Mike. Norvell may seem like a nice guy, but he can't coach. He can't adjust. He can't up plays. He can't develop. He can't recruit. Those last two are 100% true. Can't develop and can't recruit to save his life. Tell me some players who have been successful that is in the NFL under him. Pollard is maybe the only one I can think of. Granted, you got Jerry Jones is playing very well right now. Those are the main two I can think of. It's the guys like AZ and some of these other guys. Bethune had a good stretch for the 49ers. But do you count Bethune because he also played for a previous? No, I try not to count the transfer portal guys. I count Jerry, and even though he was a transfer portal guy, because Jerry played at Florida State for what 4 years. But yeah, I think that is that's all I can think of. I mean, like I don't count. Do you count Verse? Verse only played at Florida State for 2 years, but I mean, there's that. Ronaldo Green. So I mean, there's some guys, but it's few and far in between. To be fair, I guess Terrell thinks Miami's winning the national championship. I will give you Jones, but tell me how many players have Norvell put in the NFL that are successful. Yeah, we just I kind of just broke that down. That's about it. Indiana will win. Fire the AD. Caleb got too much fingernail polish on to win the football game. This has to be Norvell's last year. Newsflash. Quick newsflash. Did we not think after Stanford it was a wrap? Right? After Stanford, we thought it was a wrap. We thought, oh, it's just he's done. They're just getting their ducks lined up, and he's done. And that obviously wasn't the case. So I can't put anything past any of it. I would like for it to be his last year, but I can't guarantee it. See, I would agree with that. Now let's go back to Nebraska. You're talking about 2000, no 90, yeah, right? 01, whatever year that was, y'all played in Nebraska and beat them. That's when Crouch won the Heisman. Go look at Nebraska's schedule and tell me who on that schedule was Ohio State, and y'all beat Ohio State too. So they blew out Alabama for what it's worth, and they blew out Oregon for what it's worth. Beat the number 9 team in the country in Illinois. At the time, they were number 9 for what it's worth. Um, I don't think it's comparable, Kane Zay. I understand where you're trying to come from. I don't think it's comparable. Um, this isn't. I don't believe this is that. I don't believe this is that at all. I mean, and I know you're a Miami fan, right? But at some point you have to look at it and look at what Indiana's actually like doing. It ain't about speed. It ain't about strength. Um, possess any of those things is foolish. Ooh, come on, two! You got to catch that ball. Caleb put it right there. Um, yeah, it's Indiana's got it. Now that I'm rooting for them, but that doesn't mean that they're going to necessarily win. And I'm not saying that you can't win, but it's not so clear cut. Oh, we got the better athletes. Oregon had better athletes on paper. Ohio State had better athletes on paper. Bama had better athletes on paper than Indiana. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're talking about successful, not counting it off of potential. Everybody got potential, but we're talking about making an impact. That is what hurts our program. He can't dial up plays. FSU should play Sperry. I talked about that almighty. What, based on what do you believe FSU should play Sperry? Just based off what? Like, what is that based off of? Is that just blind hope that Sperry is a good player? And the Bears just scored, folks. One of my coworkers is a Bears fan. Hold on. But what is that based off of? Seen something about them stealing signs. Just a rumor. Man, here we go. Here we go. If Miami beat your team, you home looking at Miami play, don't give us your advice. Clearly, it didn't work for y'all. Okay. I thought Norvell was done after the Stanford until I found out FSU didn't have the money to get rid of him. Yes, not. I've read all the articles. I've seen all that stuff. It still ain't about the money, and I don't care what anybody says. Thanks for being here. My FSU sanity dangles from a thin string, and you keep it from fraying. Hey, this would be the best D line IU has played all season. That's true. This would be the best quarterback Miami's played all season. When their weak spot is their secondary, I don't think that's arguable, right? So, I mean, we can play the back and forth. Um, this, I think it's going to be a good game at the end of the day. Indiana hasn't played a physical team like the Hurricane. I think Ohio State is plenty physical, and again, they played Ohio State just like Miami played Ohio State in a tough physical ball game. Come on, y'all got to stop that. I'm not betting you 50 on Miami. I have no horse in the race other than I would like for Miami not to get their sixth national championship. I'm just saying, how many teams does Indiana have to beat before they're taken seriously? And the Big Ten, not the SEC, by the way, the Big Ten has proven to be the best conference in football. That's proven at this point. I mean, did anybody see Indiana beating Oregon 56-22 or whatever? All right, Jordan Love, let's see what you got because Caleb Williams just responded. The NFL playoffs are always fun. Let's see what we got. Sports Martins, I'm really just interested to see how they fill up the D line. I mean, at least the O line got bodies. True. They've done a decent job of plugging in players on the O line, and we'll see how all of those play out. And plus, I do think FSU had some decent guys returning on the O line. I'm very high on Sandman Thomas. I've been saying that. In my opinion, he should be starting. We'll see. He has a chance to compete. They brought in a freshman All-American from Troy, but at the end of the day, the man didn't make the freshman All-American team to compete with Sandman at that center spot. So we'll see. You got Andre Otto coming back, who's shown gradual progression in his career. Jonathan Daniels is a guy that I'm very excited to watch. When you talk about looking like an offensive lineman, I love his. I think he could be a dominant guard, but they're gonna play him at tackle. He has a hell of a wingspan, which I understand why they want him at tackle. I'm looking forward to see. FSU's got some bodies on the O line that not only are coming back, and then they brought some guys in. They brought in an Auburn tackle. They brought in Purdue guard slash center, the Troy guard slash center. I think they brought in another offensive lineman who I don't know if he's a tackle or a guard. I forget. So they got some bodies, some returning players. Got some competition in that room. Shout out to Herb Hand. We'll see how that room pans out. And that D line has nobody in it. How banged up is the Miami D line? Is it banged up? Mesidor might be a. I mean, if he can't go, Mesidor could be a problem for Miami if he can't go. But Miami's recruited well. Norris, you're not making sense. You're talking about why we're looking at y'all while we're talking about the national championship. Come on. Either talk ball or talk with emotions. I get it. Like we're dissecting the game. What are we talking about here? Oregon actually has a good defensive line. I haven't watched enough of Oregon to determine how good their O line is. They have a good D line though. Oregon's problem is just the same thing I say about all of these programs that can't get over the hump. I don't think it's a coincidence that Ole Miss had a good run. Won't be winning an Natty in 50, 60 years. Again, A&M ain't won since – talk about Texas A&M. Ain't won nothing since World War II. Oregon's never won. I think that is stuff that's embedded in the programs, man. That doesn't mean they can't eventually get over the hump, but it takes a lot to get over said hump. Oregon has a good D-line, though. Who do I got? Jags versus Bills. I'm going with the Bills just because I don't want to root for the same team Almighty rooting for. I'm going with the Bills. If we're in the championship, how do you? No one's who said no one takes Miami serious, Lenoris. Who are you talking to? I'm the one who picked y'all to be A&M. I'm the one who said y'all could be anybody in the playoff because y'all have the offensive line and defensive lines to do so. Like, who's not taking y'all serious? I'm giving Miami more credit than y'all deserve. Because at the end of the day, I talk football. I don't talk with my emotions. Lanning's getting that. He's that's a good question, Sport Mark. Lanning is getting that label of like his teams get beat down in the playoffs. Like they just don't lose; they get beat down. He's getting that label of he's going to be considered a good. Let me take this off. I didn't realize I was still up there. He's getting that label of a good regular season coach, but maybe not a good playoff / championship coach. He's getting that label. I don't think Pittman's coming back. Why do you got the Bills over the Jets for the Jaguars? Are you basing off John? I'm basing it off of I'm not rooting for the same team that Almighty is a Jags fan. I will not be rooting for the Jags. That's what I'm basing that off of. Nothing more, nothing less. Because I'm not rooting for the same team that Almighty's got to root for. Miami fans creating their own narratives. It's weird. Even the fans that aren't on the internet thinks everyone. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You just like I feel like you're just making stuff up in your head. Because I've done nothing but give Miami credit. even though it kind of hurts. It doesn't kind of. It hurts. I went to Dallas in Jerry World to watch. I was at the Ohio State. I was in the stadium for Ohio State versus Miami, rooting heavily. We was with a group. Actually, was with a group of Miami fans and Ohio State fans. We were all together. Good guys, and but we were more so with the Ohio State fans rooting against Miami. And even the Ohio State fans, I looked at them. They looked at me. I said, and I had on an FSU sweater. I said, y'all are cooked. And they said, yeah, we are. Like they knew it. Um, and the Miami fans I got in contact with, they was cool. Even though they saw my sweater, they was cool with me. I actually ran into some Florida State fans out there too. Um, and they was in their Florida State gear too. So we were out there hate watching. I hear everybody talking about wanting Shanahan. That's been a big talking point, especially since last night. Why would you go? Why do you got the Buffalo Bills? Oh, I already answered that question. Your secondary is weak in coverage, and I'll stand on that. When y'all, ooh, the Bears are about to win a playoff. 2 seconds left. All right, y'all. Let's watch. Ooh, that's a close to a fumble. But I think his arm was going for. All right, y'all. 2 seconds left in the NFC wild card. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I think I did bring the bad mojo. No, seven. Where's 7 seconds come by? It was just 2 seconds. I put 7 seconds back on the clock. That's weird. All right. Let's see what Jordan Love does. Oh, he fumbled it. And he still got the ball though. Oh, he's ran all the clock out. So whatever happens, he has to make the play. And he threw. It should have been a pick. The Bears have won. They came back and won. Shout out to the Bears and Caleb Williams. Shout out to the Bears. Ole Miss QB better than IU Mendoza was. Nah, I don't agree with that. And I like Chambliss, but I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. You control the line of scrimmages. I mean, it is what it is. In all three of those games, you control the line of scrimmage. Texas A&M didn't have a good quarterback to really challenge y'all. What's the name was eating y'all up in that second half, but Ohio State couldn't make a stop when they needed to. Frankly, y'all had no answer for Jeremiah Smith in Ohio State. Again, watched it live. Y'all had zero answer for Jeremiah. Ohio State just couldn't make a stop when they needed it. And then Ole Miss, again, they didn't make a stop when they needed it. But the quarterback drove down the field and took the lead late in that game on your secondary. Like, the proof's in the pudding. Y'all can make whatever excuses you want to make. And this further proves my point that you have a bad secondary because you dropped 4 picks. A good secondary doesn't drop 4 picks. That's my point, Canes A. Against Ole Miss, frankly, y'all should have put that game away very early. Chambliss threw y'all 4 interceptions and y'all couldn't come up with one. You have a bad second. Your secondary is not good. Because if it was, you pick off 2 of the 4 at least. You didn't do so. Thanks for making my point. You see when my Florida State Seminoles lose on Saturday, and I'll be feeling bad, but whatever. My Jags win Sunday, it makes my that's good. If you're a Jags fan, shout out. Trinidad, I like Chambliss. He's not better than Mendoza. He's not more efficient. His arm might be a. I won't even say that. I don't think his arm is liver than Mendoza's. And Chambliss has a live arm. Mendoza's a more cerebral player, more accurate quarterback. It's not particularly close, honestly. Y'all in the championship, and that's all that matters. You're absolutely right. Could care less what I say. The Bears just pulled it off. That's crazy. Honestly, I haven't watched a lot of Trevor Lawrence. I mean, the Jags had a good year. He didn't play well, but he's played a lot better this year. I think a lot of people were giving up on Trevor Lawrence, not just myself. Um, I don't know if I ever called him trash though. Uh, but Jags and the Bills? So again, I'm not rooting for the Jags. I don't. The funny thing about the NFL is I don't like. I really don't care for any of the Florida teams when it comes to NFL football. I don't care for the Bucks. I don't care for the Jags. I don't care for the Dolphins. So I don't have an NFL team. Except for everything I said about Caleb. Caleb's been good, man. Caleb's been good. Drake May's been good too. I feel like I've been the fun fraud at being an FSU fan. I want my decades of fandom back. People didn't have all these great. Well, Cal was a bad football team. Uh, it's funny how you put guys around guys. At the end of the day, Mendoza he makes the throws. Um, yeah, and the head coach has a little bit to do with it, of course. The head coach don't throw the passes for the head coach. So here's one of the most insane stats I've ever heard of. Mendoza has more touchdowns than incompletions in the playoffs. I think he has 8 or 9 touchdowns and like 3 or 4 or 5 incompletions. Think about that. Think about that for a second. Think about that for a second. Mendoza has more touchdowns than incompletions. So the Bears play the Seahawks. Kainze, you are completely arguing with yourself. When you cannot in one sentence say we dropped 4 picks. My secondary makes plays when they need to, but you drop 4 picks. That is contradictory. You're contradicting yourself. But you love to debate, so we can talk about it. Your secondary makes plays when it needs to. It didn't make a play at the end of the semifinal game. Ole Miss scored. Your offense won you the football game. Shout out to the offense. Ole Miss scored. Ole Miss scored with a pass to take the lead late. Your secondary did not make plays when it needed to. It did not make the 4 interceptions when it needed to. You're wrong. So we can debate all you want. You're dead wrong. You're wrong. What's up, Pat? I'm not saying Mendoza's going to be a great pro. That's not the argument I'm making. Not saying Mendoza is going to be a great pro. I'm simply saying he's better than Chambliss. He's more efficient, accurate, makes smarter plays. Chambliss did throw throw four picks that four he threw four passes that should have been picked off by Miami players that didn't make the plays that they needed to make. By the way, yeah, four interceptions were dropped by Miami Hurricanes in that game. I don't think Mendoza gives a he doesn't give Miami to get four opportunities to intercept the ball. But I could agree with you that I don't think he's going to be a great. I don't I don't know or when I look at Mendoza, I don't know if he translates to the pros well, but we'll see. He could be a Jared. People keep calling him Matt Ryan, and I'm looking like he's more Jared Goff. Jared Goff started off very rocky, so I don't know. We'll see what happens with Mendoza. I don't understand that how you from Florida and you don't like none of Florida's teams, but because I've always been more of a college football fan than an NFL fan. Um, as far as team wise, in the NFL, I've always rooted for players. I've always been a fan of players because I'm a Florida State fan. So I follow. I I was a Bucks fan when they drafted Jameis. As soon as Jameis left there, I don't care about the Bucks. I just follow players. Of course we do. Who's your head coach, Pat? How you even? Oh, I already read that one. Defensive coordinator is. I think your defensive coordinator is good. He blitzes a lot. He blitzes a lot. He doesn't care. He will blitz and blitz and blitz some more. Blitz and blitz and blitz some more. I like that about him. He's very aggressive. I think your D coordinator is very aggressive. Mendoza's ball placement is it's crazy. He's accurate as hell. That's what I don't think he's going to give Miami four opportunities to pick the ball off. I agree with 100% Till Dog. I agree with that. 100% agree with Till Dog. Am I back? I was gone for a second. I think I'm back. Man, I met Norvell. He's a very nice dude, but I think FSU is too big. Well, yes. You don't have to think that, Pat. It is. It is too big of a stage for him. He doesn't know how to build a program. Disrespect will be addressed. Miami's walking into a buzzsaw and will lose by 2 touchdowns. Ooh, Jay. I don't think so. I think that's going to be a close game. I think Indiana's strengths and Miami's strengths are even. I think Indiana has a very good front four, very good offensive defensive line, just like Miami. I think the difference may be the quarterback play. And I'm picking Mendoza over Beck. And if Miami fans were being honest, they would pick Mendoza over Beck. Um, that's might come down to the difference. I think Miami's strength and Indiana's strengths are kind of the same, with the exception that they have a Heisman winning quarterback at Indiana. But I think it's going to be a good game. I really do. And one thing about Sig is he doesn't beat himself, and his players don't beat themselves. They are. I said it before, and I'll say it again. I think Indiana is the best coached football team. Like when you look at 2013 Florida State, or you look at any national championship team, a lot of times they're the most talented teams in the country, right? 2013, by far the most talented team in football. That's not a question, right? Talking about 2013 FSU. 2014 Ohio State, most talented team in the country. That wasn't a question. With Zeke and these guys, and you can go down years and years and years, go down the line. Usually, the most talented team wins it. Last year, Ohio State. The year before that, Michigan. Though we all know that FSU team, but you can usually go year by year. The Natty is won by the most talented team. I don't know if Indiana is the most talented team, but they are the best coach team I've seen in maybe my entire time watching football. When I watch Indiana, I'm just amazed that their players are always in the right place to make the right play. I'm amazed by it. Indiana is the best coach team I think I may have ever watched. I'm just being honest with you. I've never seen that they're never at a position. There's never a blown coverage. It's kind of ridiculous when you think about it. Um, so we're gonna see. We're gonna see if the best coach team in that game wins, or if maybe the more talented team trumps. And don't get it mistaken, Indiana also has talent. I get it; they don't have a bunch of 4 and 5 stars, but they got a couple guys that are going to play in the NFL. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see how it breaks down. How that game breaks down. I think it's going to be a close game, though. I think it's going to be a good game. Mendoza's not throwing 4 picks, bro. If he does, shout out to Miami. I don't see that man throwing 4 interceptions, though. Yeah, I like the golf comp, and a lot of people has compared him to Matt Ryan. So you're not wrong, Marcus. I just I kind of see golf when I look at him, but and in my mind, I can see Mendoza starting off poorly, like golf did, and then eventually catching his stride. Matt Ryan was pretty much the guy when he came out of college. I don't know if Mendoza is as good as Matt. I hear people saying Matt Ryan. I don't know if Mendoza is as good as Matt Ryan coming out of Boston College. I don't think so. That's just me. That's just me though. I don't have any problem with Miami fans coming on here and kicking it. Still bringing running back DBs and tight ends, Dupree. That's what we do around here. Miami won't make the playoffs for another 5 years after this. I don't know, Jay. No, I hear you, but when you build a team the right way, and that's through the trenches, Miami's got the #1 tackle in high school again this year. When you build a team the right way, Jay, one could argue you're here for the long haul. That's a fact, Pat. Bringing back Omar Graham is absolutely insane, Dupree. Agree with you 100%. IU has a great front four. IU has a good offensive line, and IU is good on the trenches too. That's what I'm saying. The strengths match, so it could come down to a quarterback battle. We're talking in the national championship game. I get that, but show some respect when you talk. Pope, don't be coming in here talking trash about Noles. No. Pull up said, "Hey, you gonna show some respect." Shout out to Pull Up again. Kingsley, he's been around a while, so he's cool. But the man said, "Show some respect." FSU has a D line and linebacker visiting next week. Okay. I think Miami's the most talented team in this game. I think Miami could argue is more top end talented than IU. It's kind of what I'm saying. I'm riding with Beck. He got a ring. Mendoza don't. He has a ring as a backup, bro. What are you talking about? Okay. Experience matters. Okay. Mendoza is very good, but don't get me wrong. But Beck been disrespected. He built for King. Okay, Zay, you can say what you want to say. Beck's arm is shot. If you haven't been paying attention. His arm is shot, but we'll see. Miami gonna beat him by 14. Okay, all right. I know Norvell's a problem, but it seems nobody wants to play if Tony. Well, nobody wants to play for coaches that are dead, Dupree. That's the problem. Nobody wants to play for deadbeat coaches. Anyone here why pit linebacker needed? Who I don't know. Don't they were saying that it was a grades thing. Yet the man committed to Texas. So was it a grade thing? Come on, man. I mean, that's probably a good point. In the era of the transfer portal, is anybody around for the long haul? Yeah, he committed to Texas. So Miami will continue to out recruit us because Mike keeps burning bridges in South Florida coaches. Mike doesn't emphasize what it means to build a program um, in Southeast football. That's why Miami will continue that. Mario Cristobal coached under Nick Saban, coached at Oregon, obviously. But Mario Cristobal's been around. He knows what a major P4 program looks like, how it operates, what you need to prioritize. Mario knows that. Mike Norvell, biggest school he ever coached at was what? Arizona State. At that time, is in the Pac-12. Is Arizona State is not a big time program. Point blank. Period. Call it. I'm gonna call it how I see it. Mike Norvell has no idea what it takes to coach at Florida State. He never qualified for the job. Which team has better offensive and defensive coordinators? I don't know. Which team has a better head coach? That I do know. Sig's the best head coach in football, period. And he's never won a national. He's never won a natty, but Sig is a better coach than Kirby, Dabo, you name them. Sig is the best coach in football right now, even without the national championship. That's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I'm 37. I've seen my team. I've been for one. I've been alive for all of my teams' natties. Um, I wasn't. I didn't watch the '93, but I watched the '99. Oh, how old was I in '99? You said the last time your team won a natty, you were 10. In '99, I was around the same age. Yeah, actually, I was 11. I was 11 in '99, and then I got to see my team win again in 13. So I've seen my team win as a child and as an adult. You will only be able to see your team win as a child because they're not beating Indiana. Google me, baby. That's my guy. If bro, I wish I was a millionaire because I'd pay Mike Norvell's buyout and I'd get Sig today. The moment the national championship done, I give him whatever he wants. He's coming to FSU. My man said, "I win. Google me." That's my guy, man. Well, that's because you live there. So you live there. That's why you hate them. He has. He definitely has. They. I'm glad you said that. They communicate so well in the back end of their defense. Sports smart. They go watch the Ohio State game. Go watch the Ohio State game. By the way, someone correct me if I'm wrong. IU runs a three man front. Everybody that says a 3-man front can't do X Y Z. IU runs a 3-man front. He sleep probably. But absolutely, watch how they pass off in the back end of the defense. They communicate so well. That's what I'm saying. They're the best coach team I've ever. They may very well be the best coach team I've ever watched. Yeah. So that's my thing. Everybody knows 3-3-5 can't do X-Y-Z. No, when it's got the right players and it's coached the right way, 3-3-5 is effective. Go watch Indiana. Go watch them. They play almost perfect deep. It's crazy to watch. Again, never. I don't know if I've ever seen. How are they stopping the run? Zay, go watch them. It's a great question. How are they stopping the run? Go watch them. I got my boy POLK back. Besides, that's my battle, and I'm not gonna let nobody just come over here and try to disrespect. Shout out to yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Um, if you need some of that Venezuela oil money, get off. Nah, I ain't getting off Sig nothing. If it was up to me, Sig would be the head coach in Tallahassee. College football may be on the decline because they need to figure out what they doing with college football. Well, it's 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock Eastern, 12 Central. What are we doing? We still kicking it or it's time to call it a night? Y'all tell me. Indiana also doesn't have 4 or 5 star players. Their roster's mostly 3 stars and transfers. Coaching and development matters. What are we doing, guys? What do y'all think? What do we want to do? We have the worst staff in the country. We have a pretty bad staff. I can't argue it. Probably the worst staff in the country. You're probably right. You're probably right. So, are we calling it a night? Y'all want to call it a night, or um, I'm on Twitter just looking at people talk about. I, the reason I stay on Twitter is to watch everybody's reactions. Looking at people's reacting to Noel to win leaving is just it's funny. It sucks, but people's reactions are hilarious. It's really funny. That's why I stay on Twitter, man. Twitter is hilarious. Oh man. Let's see. What do we got? What do y'all want to do? Let me go back to the comments. We have the worst staff in the country. It's it's only 12 Eastern. Oh, you're right. It's only 10 o'clock here. I thought it was 11 o'clock here. It's only 12 Eastern. Good point. Okay, Jay Noel, if you out, holla, get some rest, brother. It's up to you. I'm chilling. I'm not tired. I ain't got nothing to do except maybe go to church. That's if I feel like going. Um, I'm at work. Vontae, you always at work. What do you do, dog? Vontae, what do you do? You always at work. Every time I'm on live at late night, you at work. We need to go kidnap Indiana coach and take over his run. Just give me the coach. Give me the coach. He can keep his roster. Give me the coach. He'll bring the roster to Tallahassee. Don't get me wrong. FSU Twitter is becoming an even bigger cesspool. It has, but it's still entertaining. I still laugh. It's still funny. Man, I don't care about that 5-star Miami Hurricane. Never had five, and we still won a championship. You should have been called it a night. FSU not doing it. No, I ain't calling nothing tonight. What do you mean you don't care about that 5-star? Miami's loaded with them. Y'all, Maui Goa, 5-star. I mean, y'all, what, Justin Scott? Is that his name? Defensive tackle, 5-star. Blount, 5-star. What are you talking about? Miami's they are where they are because Mario's recruited big time talent. All right, Zay Ahala. He's a security guard, tech support. I work from 5 to 1. Yeah, you always at work, bro. You always at work late night. But that's what's up. Make that money. I ain't mad at it. I'm the level-headed Kurt. Are you the level-headed one? Okay. Say some wild stuff, Zay. But at this, I mean, I can't say nothing. Miami fans can say what they want to say. They're in the national championship. I mean, what do you want me to say? Hmm. Look, 5 stars don't mean crap. Look, Miami. Look at what star was Ray Lewis. Yeah, it's hard to use. Okay, so I hear what you're saying. I don't want to use Ray Lewis and certain before high school recruiting really became a thing that was evaluated heavily. That's hard because you can. Derek Brooks is in the same category um, as far as that goes. Undersized linebackers like Florida State and Miami were two of the first programs to take Ray Lewis types. And I know Ray Lewis eventually got like 240 pounds, but Ray Lewis out of high school was undersized. But Derek Brooks is the same. Like these are small linebackers, but they were fast, right? And they could hit. And Miami and Florida State really started that. They really started that. So I don't like using recruiting rankings from 1992 or whatever it was to try to say, oh, stars don't matter, bro. It wasn't a thing back then as it is now, right? It's a whole different beast. Um, you actually had to kind of do your job back then and evaluate talent, right? Nowadays, it's a lot more. It's a lot more in line with like again it's a lot more. The stars matter, and we can argue all up and down, but the stars matter. And for Miami fans to argue that stars don't matter is ridiculous, because again, go to your roster. It's not a coincidence that you're here. Look at how you've recruited the offensive and defensive lines, and tell me stars don't matter. Tell me Ruben Bain doesn't matter. Tell me Lightfoot doesn't matter. Tell me Blanc doesn't matter. Tell me Scott doesn't matter. Tell me Maui Goa doesn't like. You're fooling yourself. You can bring up Malachi Tony all you want. That's a wide receiver. Amazing evaluation. Dude's a monster. I love watching him. But don't tell me stars don't matter when I look at your trenches and that's what they're loaded with. Stars matter, dog. So people that try to say stars don't matter, you're wrong. Yeah, Samson, bro, stars matter. Stop it. Stars matter. They always have mattered. Now, whether or not you want to debate 1993 recruiting rankings to 2003 and 2013 and 2023 like of course it's evolved since then. But Ron Simmons was the best high school prospect in the country at the time he came out. Who got him? Florida State. And he was what? How many All-Americans did he make? I mean, come on. Stars mattered then too. They matter now. Stars have mattered. They've always mattered. It matters. I would argue it matters more so now because kids get more properly evaluated now. Check your national championship teams and tell me where the star. Indiana might be the first if they win it. If they win, Indiana would be the first national championship team in how many years that we go, oh snap, they had no 5 stars on the roster. But if Miami wins, again, I just named a bunch of 5 stars. Y'all got them. Stop pretending like 5 stars don't matter. Yeah, and they just won the national championship last year. I mean, you can't win it every year. Winning a national championship is hard. Yes, they didn't win it this year, but they won it last year with the same 5 stars. So again, come on. Yeah, but they didn't win it. Almost is a mother. You can almost do anything. You can almost do anything. Did Ole Miss win the national championship? Did they even make it to the national championship? And they just lost their head coach to LSU. You think Ole Miss is ever going to get back here? I'd be hard pressed to say I doubt Ole Miss gets back to where they are right now. Did they win it? He's the best freshman you've ever seen. He's a good player. But Zay, you always do this. You always take something and you exaggerate it to the highest level. You just said Tony's the best freshman you've ever seen. We just watched Jeremiah Smith last year. I think Malachi Tony's amazing, but you have to stop with the exaggerations, bro. You have to stop doing that. You have to stop doing that. To say that he's the best freshman that you've ever seen, and you're 34 years old, and to say he's the best freshman you've ever seen is crazy. And I'm glad you mentioned Adrian Peterson and Julio Jones, and there's some other guys we can talk about too. That come on, you got to stop doing that. I Indiana. The thing about it is, yes, you're right. But Indiana, again, let's we don't have to go back 20 years. The past it's 2026. Let's go back to 2016. Name every national championship team from 2016 to now, and you look at the blue chip ratio. Indiana is the exception to the rule, guys. They're not the rule. You got to stop. Let's stop pretending like Indiana is what it is and not the exception to what it's been. Miami only has 3 players that are 5 stars. Oh, okay. Again, it depends on what website you look at. What was JoJo Trader? He was a 4 or 5 star, depending on the website you looked at. 247 had him as a 5 star. I think his overall composite ranking had him as a 4 star. Depending on the website you look at, JoJo Trader was 4 or 5 star. I already talked about Maui Goa. We already talked about Samson. Again, Scott. I can bring it up if you really want to. I know what I'm talking about. No, Lenore's is lying at his ass. I don't know why he's lying about that. I really don't know why he's lying. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna prove you wrong. Just because I can. And I'm not gonna use on three, though I could use on three. I'm just gonna use 247 composite. You said 247 sports. You said Miami. Miami has more 3 stars than 5 stars. I mean, no shit. Most teams have more 4 or 3 stars than 5 stars because there's only 25 stars in any given recruiting cycle. That's every team. 2013 FSU had more 4 stars and 3 stars than 5 stars because that's just how a roster shakes out. They don't hand out 5 stars to everybody. There's not 105 stars in the nation. So come on, Norris, be smarter. Know who you're talking to. Please. But we're gonna start at 2025. Miami had the number 14 class in the country. Hayden Lau, 5 star. Okay, that's one. That's the only 5 star y'all had in that particular class. But again, that's just based off of the 247. If I go to the composite, you might have more. But we're just going to stick with what they have on the 247. Right? Hayden Lau, defensive end, number 16th player in the country. That's 1 5 star. That's last year's class. 2024. It's going to prove you wrong real quick. Justin Scott, 5 star. That's 2 5 stars. Lightfoot wasn't a 5 star, but he was the number 34 player in the country. That's a borderline 5 star. What are we talking about? Lightfoot was a top 50 player. Oh, and by the way, was a composite 5 star. So that's 3. So far we have 3 5 star. Lightfoot, Lau. Oh, and you see the do Justin Scott, do you see the trend? All defensive linemen. Oh, yeah. We're going to keep going, though. Armando Blount. The 39th player in the country. Composite 5 star. I'm already at 4. I need to keep going? I'm not even going to keep going because you don't know your own team. I know your team better than you know your team. I know your team better than you know your team. This man, because he doesn't know what he's talking about. Anyway, Tony's definitely not the best freshman I've ever seen in college. No, he's not. Zay, that's what I'm saying. Zay says some crazy stuff. I'm not turning red. First of all, I'm red. I'm light skinned. If you didn't know, so I'm not turning red. This is a light skinned dude on YouTube. Of course, they're heading the right direction. But again, they just lost the coach that was heading in the right direction. Do you think Ole Miss is going to be back to where they are right now? I would highly doubt that. No, I'm talking about your roster. Your roster is built on 4 and 5 stars. That's the point I'm making, Lenoris. Don't change the goalpost. Don't switch the goalpost now because I can shut down your whole argument. Miami is built off of 4 and 5 stars. Stop the cap. What Mario has done is legit. I'm not questioning. You're questioning Mario more than I am. This whole team is built off of blue chip prospects, and that's how you win national championships. Nothing wrong with that. For a Miami fan to sit here and try to downplay and be like, "Oh no, we got more 3 stars," man, stop that. I went through 2 recruiting classes and already came up to 4, 5 stars. Just 4, just 5. I'm not even counting the blue chip guys. I'm just counting the 5 stars. All these guys are contributing to what you were watching right now. Norris, I'm talking about your roster. Your roster currently that's in the national championship is built off of blue chip, big time prospects. What are we talking about? I'm not talking about recruiting five stars in one class. I'm talking about what is your roster built off of? Someone else said, I didn't say Tony wasn't a great freshman. I didn't say he wasn't a great player. You said he was the best player you've ever seen as a freshman. And I'm saying, Zay, that is ridiculous. You have to stop doing that. What did you said you said Maui Goa, not the one currently on the team, but the linebacker, the brother. Do you remember that? I don't know if y'all remember this. If you were in the chat, you remember, or you should remember. Zay said Maui Goa was a first round pick. I'm talking about the linebacker, not the O lineman. Y'all remember? Zay does this a lot. Zay does this a lot. He takes a player and he will exaggerate them to the highest degree. Zay, you do this a lot. You do this a lot. You do this a lot, Zay. You got to stop. And you have to stop doing that. You have to stop exaggerating crazy like. Ranking. Now, I had to bring this up. Um, that's not what I'm looking for. I want to see what the best freshmen in the country are. Well, the best freshmen uh, in Zay's lifetime. So Zay, do you remember? I'm just going down some names because I looked it up. Zay, um, Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb ran for 1,500 yards in the SEC and 14 touchdowns as a freshman. I'm just gonna name some names, bro. Eric Berry. I'm just naming names, bro. I'm not gonna name guys when you were like 5 years old. I'm gonna name, uh, and I guess we're talking true freshmen, right? We're not talking redshirt freshmen. So let me. Ed Oliver. Come on, Ed Oliver's a good one. Brock Bowers. I would obviously Adrian Peterson, Luke Kinkley. I already talked about Jeremiah Smith. And what did Trevor Lawrence do as a true freshman? So, Zay, you got to stop doing that. You got to stop doing that, Zay. You really do. D coordinator's fault, not Maui Goa. No, if he was what you said he was, the NFL would have identified him and drafted him accordingly, like you said. No, he wasn't what you said he was. So what we're gonna do is if we're gonna fucking sit here and lose, that's what we're gonna do, Jay, and we're gonna love every minute of it. Oh, Norris, you gotta chill. You're not giving Butch Davis or Jimmy. Now you said you're 47, Lenoris, so you should be old enough to have watched Jimmy. Butch Davis built the team that Larry Coco won with. Butch Davis built that team that had all that NFL talent on it. To call Mario the best coach I've ever seen at Miami, boy, y'all are stuck in the moment. But hey, I'm not the Miami fan. You're allowed to have that opinion. I don't agree with it, but I'm not the Miami fan. All the trenches are not home portal grown. You have portal guys starting. If we're talking about Miami, you do have Mesidor, but I again, I just went over their rankings. They have I only without going back 5 years. I only went back to last year's class and the year before that. So those are all guys that are contributing to the. I named four. I've named 4 5 stars, all defensive linemen. What are we talking about? Yes, you sprinkle in portal guys every now every. There's nothing wrong with that, but the foundation of what Miami's built are high school recruits. That's a fact. Their foundation is 5 star on the defense. We're specifically talking defensive linemen. Well, that's as far as I got. If we kept going, we would have got to more. But specifically talking defensive linemen, their foundation is 5 star high school players. And then yes, you can sprinkle in your transfer portal guys 100%. But the foundation is built on the 5 star player. That's how FSU should be doing things. You have to recruit your trenches out of high school. Everything else you can kind of plug and play. Even receive, you see it with Miami quarterback. Just plug and play it. Your offensive line and defensive line need to be built from the trenches, meaning high school. Maurice Claret's another one. Leonard Fournette, Dalvin Cook are other ones. Here's what I'm saying. Zay says ridiculous things. He says crazy stuff, man. I hope you're joking. I hope you're joking. And I get it. If Mario wins this natty, bro, shout out to Mario. Again, I never questioned Mario building a team. I always question his coaching acumen. But I'm one of the few people that said Mario might out recruit his coaching ability. And that's what he's done. Again, I'm going to say it again. You don't have to be a genius head coach when you can run the ball 4 to 5 yards. Miami's offense in a nutshell. I'm going to say it again. Run the ball, run the ball, run the ball. Drag route, screen, deep shot, rinse, repeat. Run the ball, run the ball, run ball. Drag route, screen, deep shot, rinse, repeat. Their offense isn't crazy. It doesn't get super creative. That's not a knock. That's because they can. Smart coaches run the football. Age old saying, if you know anything about football, smart coaches run the ball. If a coach could, he'd run the ball every play. Why? If you can get 5 yards a play, you would never throw the ball. Miami can literally get 4 to 5 yards a play. Literally. That's why they're where they are. It's just a fact. Their O line's that good. I forgot about them boys. AP and Julio are the best freshmen I've ever seen. I should have said Miami. Yeah, you should have said Miami freshman. If you would have said Tony's the best Miami freshman you ever seen, we could have a conversation. But you wouldn't be crazy necessarily for saying that. You said he's the best freshman you've ever seen, period. Dennis Erickson did win a national championship at Miami. He surely did. No, I know I spin what you said. You said what you said. Zay, you said what you said. Yes, Edwin's going to Ole Miss, and what's the name is going to Ohio State. Earl Little, believe it or not, Earl Little's going to Ohio State. Alabama to Florida State to Ohio State. Earl Little's not as bad as everybody says he is. If Ohio State wants him, that's just me though. Dawson loved those. That's what I'm saying. If it works, do it. Miami's offense isn't complicated. It's effective. There's nothing wrong with that. Maui Gold was not a first round talent. Stop it. Will you stop? Let's let that go. Stop. He was not a first round linebacker. I don't know what you were watching. Who are we talking about? When you say let them go, who are we talking about? Maiden Dade, I haven't seen you around here in a while, my man. Haven't seen you around in a while. I knew the Miami National Championship would bring some of y'all out the bushes. Yeah, Earl Little's going to Ohio State. I don't know what they see in Earl, but more power to him. A guy that probably they can use effectively. Again, when you have bad coaches, you know, Mike Norvell is like he's like cancer. He's like a sickness. He infects everybody on his staff. Y'all remember everything that was said about Tony White before he came to Florida State? He was considered one of the top defensive minds in college football. Do y'all do remember these conversations now? Tony White was considered a perennial top 10 defensive mind. All of a sudden, get to Florida State, you trying to tell me he can't coach anymore? No, he just got infected with the Mike Norvell syndrome. Mike Norvell sucks at everything he does. It just is what it is. I agree with you, Almighty. I don't want to lose Earl. I know everybody say Earl sucks, but again, Ohio State sees something in him. A lot of systems ran to perfection with the right personnel is lethal. You talking about the brother Maui Goa, not the offensive lineman. The offensive lineman is legitimately a first round talent, legitimately first round pick, top 10 probably. And I've said that the moment he was a freshman, I said Maui Goa was a top 10 pick. Again, no hate my way. I've always been honest when it comes to football takes. I might troll Miami and all this other stuff, but I'm always honest when it comes to football. Anybody that's watching me knows I'm honest when it comes to ball. I'll troll you when you lose and da 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 da. When it comes to on the field, I'm honest about it. But to say the backer was a first round pick is ridiculous. That man wasn't not okay. Has college lost its mystique? I think so. I think the college game that a lot of us, if you're over 30 years old, I don't know if you're over 30 or not, Jay, but I think if you're over 30, um, the college game that you fell in love with is long dead. If you're over, yeah, if you're over 30, 30, I think is the age, 30, maybe 35 actually. But you know, if you're the college game that I fell in love, I'm 37, right? Be 38 this year. The college game that I fell in love with is gone. That's okay. I mean, life happens, bro. Life happens to all of us. But where's Maui Goa playing at right now? Kane say. Are you talking about Earl and Edwin are not big losses? I don't think Edwin's a big loss. I think Earl. We'll see. We'll see about Earl. People can say what they want to say about Earl Little. He played that rover position. He played it recklessly. He put his body on the line. Everybody, all the excuses made for Thomas Castellanos the entire year was he played hard. He da, da, da. Earl Little played hard. You can say what you want to say about Earl. Earl played hard. If you find me a rover that plays as hard as Earl and is better, so be it. Edwin, I agree with you on Edwin. I don't think Edwin's a huge loss. Edwin is replaceable. Earl, we'll see. We'll see. I think peak college ball was definitely pre-COVID. It's like once COVID happened, the sport just went to shit. Peak 2020 is when this sport I think died. I really think 2020 is when the sport went to hell. Pre 2020 is peak college ball. It's definitely peak college ball. Jay, you're 40. Okay, so yeah, then you know it's lost its mystique. Jay, if you're 40, then you know it's lost its mystique. It's done. I think before 2020 is when you got peak college ball. Um, After 2020, something about COVID, and then once COVID happened, the portal happened, and once the portal happened, NIL happened, and then yeah, um, but pre-COVID that's peak college football, man. That is the sport that most of us fell in love with. What we have now is what we have now is semi-pro football, bro. It's semi-pro ball. The, I remember the first player I remember is Michael Vick. I remember Michael Vick because I remember watching Michael Vick against the FSU in the national championship. Yep. I think, and if you want to get really specific, I think peak college football is like from like 2015, 16, or maybe like, man, from like 2000 to like 2015, 16. I don't think you get better than that. I don't think you get too much better than that. Peak college ball was 07 to 19. I feel that. I like college football in the 90s was awesome. Again, I was now 90s is when I'm legit a kid. So that's a little bit of a different conversation for people that were like 10, 11 years old. Um, for me, you go 99, 2000 till about 2020. That 20-year stretch is what a lot of us grew up on. Right? That's FSU started off the new millennium as the national champion. Then you got one of the greatest, if not the greatest, college football teams of all time in the '01 Canes. Just speaking from a Florida native. And then right after that, you got the Florida Urban Dynasty, right? And then after that, FSU makes a comeback, and you got the Jimbo. I don't want to call it a dynasty because you only won the one natty, but you should have won at least. Jimbo should have won at least two, if not three. 2012, 2013, and 2014 arguably could have been a three-peat if Jimbo. I think if Jameis starts as a true freshman, it is, and I've been on the record about saying that. Y'all know my whole argument on that, right? Right after, so the Florida schools ran the early 2000s again. '01 Canes. Then you got what? '06 from when did Florida win their first one? Wasn't it '06? From '06 to '09 is the Florida Urban run, or 10. And then right after that, here comes the FSU Jimbo run. Um, and then after that, it's kind of, I mean, you have Ohio State in there, but it's really the Clemson run after FSU's run. Ohio State wins in 14, but after that, it's pretty much the Clemson dynasty. Like that's like peak college ball, man, right there. When you have Indiana and two lost Miami in the championship, the mystique is gone. So I don't think the playoff is killing the mystique, though I understand the argument. I love the fact that Indiana's in there. I I get people that's like, oh, the blue bloods, you want to keep, but I like the fact that Indiana's in the mix, and they're going against historically Miami's one of the programs, right? Indiana and Miami is an interesting matchup. Um, but the playoff as a whole could be argued whether that's killing the sport. I don't think it is. I think what's killing the sport is I don't think on the field is killing the sport, Jay. I think that's where me and you will disagree. I don't think on the field is killing the sport. I think everything off the field is what's killing the sport. I think this playoff committee is killing the sport. NIL, transfer portal. I mean, I remember a time where you could, again, so the reason why I don't have an NFL team, I just never fell in love with NFL teams. I've always been a fan of the players. Well, why is that? It's because I could follow a Florida State player from his freshman year to his senior to junior year, right? In years past, you followed you would follow Lawrence Timmons, Buster Davis. I'm just thinking the names. Like, but you could follow them to their Antoine Smith. You could follow them from their beginning to their end. I think what's why the sport is dying is year in and year out is a completely different roster. Even in the NFL, the roster turnover isn't as much as it is in the college game. The roster turnover in the college game is ridiculous. Just look at the roster, just from a Florida State standpoint. Look at the offensive defense from last year to what's going to be next year. Half of these players you're not even going to know. Look at the O line. Like I think that's what's killing the sport. The portal's killing the sport, and IL is killing the sport. This playoff committee that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing is killing the sport. Miami was this close from not even being in the playoff. They're in the national championship. Go figure. Again, I was on the record of saying I think Miami deserved to be in the playoff. just to show you that there's no hate other than, I mean, there's hate. Like, fuck you. But I'm non-biased when we actually talking ball is the point I'm making. 2023 killed the sport when an undefeated ACC champion gets the middle finger for Alabama. And Alabama's done nothing but embarrass themselves every year since in the playoff. I don't know why Alabama keeps getting the benefit of the doubt to be in the playoff. They get embarrassed every year since. That's the stuff that's killing the sport. When I'm listening to the football heads on TV, when I'm listening to them say, it's not about who deserves, it's about the best. How do you choose the best? By winning it on the field. That's who deserves it. You deserve it by winning games. Like that stuff has killed the sport, bro. Targeting is a ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, there are certain plays where you go, okay, that's unnecessary. But overall, I agree. I think targeting has really soured some of the stuff. I wish I had the money to buy his ass out. You should hate UF. POLK, how do you build a team in this era? That's a good question, Anthony. That's honestly a good question. How do you build a team in this era? I still think you prioritize high school recruiting. I hate to say it, but I think you need to take a page out of the Mario Cristobal playbook. You need to prioritize offensive and defensive line recruiting. Everything else can be supplemented through the portal. There's a million running backs out there. Granted, you get some special ones. I'm not saying that guys aren't special. I'm not saying you can't find a special back. You can. Saquon Barkley's, the Adrian Petersons, the Reggie Bushes. Like, special running backs are out there. Don't get me wrong. But for the most part, running backs come dime a dozen. For the most part, receivers come a dime a dozen. Are there special ones out there? Of course there are. It's a good coaching staff will identify those guys. But what you need to do is prioritize offensive and defensive line recruiting. And arguably every other position can be supplemented. That doesn't mean you don't go after the 5-star corner or the 5-star backer. But you need to prioritize recruiting the trenches at a high school. Prioritize recruiting the trenches at a high school. Quarterbacks, the top programs in the country, you have 2 transfer quarterbacks in the national championship. Last year's national championship winner, transfer quarterback. Oregon had the transfer quarterback. The top teams are taking transfer quarterbacks. They're not developing their own. It just is what it is. So how do you build a team in today's age? Prioritize at a high school the trenches, and you can get the rest in the portal. That doesn't mean you don't recruit the rest at it. That doesn't mean you don't recruit anything at a high school. But you can recruit your depth and all of that from those skill positions out of high school. Your front seven, your offensive line, your front seven, I think all, and then your special DBs, that needs to be at a high school, right? That's how I would approach it. I agree. Sport Mark. I think the playoffs are. I don't think the playoffs has been an issue. I agree with Zay on that one. I like the playoffs. I actually like the playoff. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We watched Lamarcus Joyner. I remember. So the Joyner you got in 2013, that was a Thorpe Award finalist. Go watch him. I'm not saying he wasn't a good player, but you wouldn't have seen that coming in his previous years. But that's because back then we didn't ask guys to be amazing automatically. We actually allowed players to develop. Just just 10 years ago. Crazy. Just 10, 15 years ago, we actually allowed players to get better and develop. Again, speaking from a Florida, this is 863 Seminole TV. Speaking from a Florida State perspective, no one asked Kelvin Benjamin to be the best receiver year one. We actually got to watch him develop. We actually got to watch Kenny Shaw develop. Devontae Free, name the player. Very few freshmen came in and were just electric. Dalvin Cook was that. But how many? Rashard Green, I would argue, as a freshman, was that. But that's two players out of a 80 team roster or whatever, 80 man roster or whatever it was. Most of these guys had to develop. Jameis was that. But what was Telvin coming out of high school? 190-pound linebacker. How long did it take us to get Terrence Brooks? Terrence Brooks was just as good as, but what was Terrence Brooks? Like, you can go down the roster of that 2013 team. A lot of those guys needed time to develop. In today's age, it's like we don't give them that time. If you're not good right away, transfer portal with you. And I don't agree with that at all. Of course you do. Of course you do. So, yeah, man, that's actually, was a good question or a good talking point to bring up. It's like, what has killed the sport? That was good, Jay. Good question or good topic. And Miami's the perfect example for a lot of things. I believe it or not. Miami went 20 years with terrible hires. Yeah, Jalen Ramsey as a freshman. You're right, Almighty. But again, everybody wants everybody to be Jalen Ramsey. Everybody ain't Jalen Ramsey, but Jalen Ramsey was electric as a freshman. Timmy was good, but Timmy didn't become dominant to that third year. But anyway, yeah, everybody damn, I forget what the fuck I was saying. Oh, Miami's a perfect example, man, of all it takes is to get the right hire. All it takes is to get the right hire. They went years with the Al Goldens and it took the right hire. They got the right hire. They got a guy that could bring in elite talent. If there's one thing that Mario Cristobal proves in college football is that you need a guy that can acquire elite talent. I love Signetti. I do. I think he's the best coach in the sport. My only question with Sig is, and we haven't seen it, one, because he's at Indiana. Granted, I just found out that Mark Cuban is an alumni at Indiana. I had no idea. And he's starting to invest in that. We might see Indiana start recruiting at a national level with the money that's behind them now. Anyway, he's at Indiana, so you don't really get to see the recruiting chops of the Signetti. So that's my own. That would be the like if you're talking about bringing him to Florida State, could he recruit at that level? I think he could. He coached under Nick Saban, so I personally I think he could. But that to me would be the only question, right, that you have. Um, but once you get the right hire, your program can. It took Mario 3 years. First year losing season, second year 7-6, third year 10-2, fourth year he's in the national championship. It is what it is. When you get the right hire, it clicks. You saw it with Jimbo Fisher. Like FSU's been here before. So it's not like foreign to the Florida State fan, which is why I don't understand why the Florida State fan is so ignorant to what it takes to be a winning program. Go look on Twitter. Like they're delusional. You've seen it work. You know what it takes. There's no Miami. What happening in Miami shouldn't be a surprise. Miami's an example. Get the right hire, a guy who can acquire elite talent, specifically in the middle. We talk about Jimbo Fisher, and you can talk about Jimbo Fisher and the quarterback. Like everybody knows Jimbo Fisher's an offensive mind. And we talk about Jameis and Christian Ponder and EJ Manuel under the Jimbo Fisher era. And that's 3 first-round quarterbacks. Go look at the defensive line recruits under the Jimbo Fisher era, whether that's Josh Sweat, Timmy Jernigan, Eddie Goldman, Chris Casher, who I know Chris Casher didn't play up to his rankings, but go look where Chris Casher was ranked coming out of high school. Marvin Wilson, Brian Burns, and the list kind of goes on, whether it's Derek Nandi. Like, go look at what Jimbo Fisher did in the trenches at Florida State. Some of the highest rated offensive linemen in FSU's history came under Jimbo Fisher's regime, but that's Bobby Hart. And again, all of those guys didn't pan out, but you saw the emphasis of the trenches. FSU fans should understand what it takes, the recipe to be a championship program. But we like to pretend that this shit is foreign to us. Duran was good as a freshman, yes. And I'm back to the comment sections, by the way. Even QBs didn't start as true freshmen. No. Back in the day, again, you didn't see QBs until their redshirt junior years most times. I agree. They have no plan for sure. I think so. We'll disagree, Jay. I think they have an infrastructure. If the infrastructure is a renovated stadium, a brand new football only facility, like the infrastructure, right, is there. You just have to get the right people and the right plan in place. um, the way I look at it, Almighty, personally, compare Sig's resources to Kirby's resources. And if you swap the two coaches, if you put Kirby at Indiana and Cignetti at Georgia, what do you think? I'm going to ask you that. If I swap the two coaches, this is how I look at it. If I put Sig at Georgia with the resources that Georgia has, I put Kirby at Indiana with the resources that Indiana has. Would Kirby Smart be where Sig is? Like where would Indiana be under Kirby? Where would Sig be, or where would Georgia be under Cignetti? That's how I answer that question. How do you like these guys coming? Do you, Alexis Ford? We'll see. I'd be lying to you if I said I was hyped about any of FSU's transfer portal additions. We'll just have to see how it plays out. Stork, talking about Stork, Zay. Yeah, I know. I talked about Mark Q, but again, Georgia SEC money. Do you think it's? I don't think it's the same. Indiana up here, Georgia's in the recruiting hotbed of the Southeast. Again, there's a difference. You get what I'm saying? If I put Sig in Georgia, the recruiting hotbed in the Southeast, with the SEC money, with the Georgia brand, Georgia's brand is way bigger than the Indiana brand, right? That's what I'm saying. The O line players I think are solid. I mean, nice, solid. I don't. Yeah, I won't say they're bad players per se. Their bodies. Hopefully, they add some competition on the O line, um, and all of that. So, uh, but what FSU's going to have to. I don't know. They're going to have to. It's hard for me to. It's hard for me to look at the roster and go, yeah, I'm convinced that they got it figured out. They spent $400 million on stadium. Did they spend that much on the stadium? Football only facility a decade too late. That's fair. You could argue that this football only facility is a little too late. Players want to get paid today. That has no. It's still a foundation of like, hey, this is what we got. Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll have to define what's the foundation. I think FSU has a solid foundation. They just need the right people in place. And we might have to agree to disagree on that. But I think FSU has a good foundation. They just have the wrong people in place. Big Ten schools has more money than SEC. I'm not saying they don't. I'm saying there's still Georgia's a bigger brand than Indiana. That's not a debate. Georgia's in a better recruiting area than Indiana. It's not a debate. SEC money and Georgia money and everything that Kirby's resources have at Georgia is not a debate. So the only debate you're having is Sig and Kirby. Again, swap the two coaches. Georgia doesn't miss a beat with Cignetti as head coach. I'm not sure Indiana's in the national championship with Kirby as the head coach. Give Cignetti all the 4 and 5 stars that Georgia has and tell me that that's a worse team. Like, Big Ten didn't start winning to NI. That's not true. We just talked about 2014, Ohio State national champion. Now, you can argue that outside of Ohio State, the Big Ten wasn't winning or playing for natties. That would be accurate. But Ohio State has always at least either been in the natty or winning that mug. Even when they got blown out by Florida, which was 06, whatever that was. But Ohio State was there. They won in 14. Like, Ohio State has always been in the mix. You can argue outside of Ohio State that the Big Ten has never been, but the Big Ten also didn't have Oregon and USC and all these, Big Ten's always been a Michigan-Ohio State conference. Sprinkle Penn State in very minimally, very small. Outside of those 3 programs, really the 2, Ohio State's, Big Ten's never been, and even now it's still Ohio State, Michigan. I know what Indiana's doing right now, but again, that's a more credit to the coach than it is the conference. Main thing is the defense. I think the offense is good outside the QB. Well, I'll say this, Marcus. If you don't got a QB, you don't got an offense. That's my personal opinion. You have good players. Like, I think you have 2 good maybe 3 good running backs. I don't know much about the Texas running back, but let's say you have 3 good running backs. You have 2 good receivers. You have what we hope is a good offensive line. I don't know how you. I guess I got to see the O-line in action before I can actually, whatever there. And I don't care about the tight end room because they don't really use it. I don't know. I don't know if the offense is as good as maybe we anticipate. I mean, I see the vision of the offense, or what I think the offense could and should look like. I agree with you though on the defense. Like, I don't know who's playing what defensively. You have no D line at this point, unless you're going to just run a bunch of true freshmen on the D line, which that is going to be nasty to watch. And then you have no linebackers unless it's going to be Blake Nicholson and Omar Graham, and that's going to be interesting to watch. So, yeah. They're buying the hospital, from my understanding. I think that's actually happening, from my understanding. Again, it's not a money issue. It's just where the money is prioritized and how it's been spent. I think Wilder would have been a better backer than a running back. Sig is the best coach in college sports, period. Indiana was a doormat for years before. Yeah, I think that's another point. I didn't even bring up that point. Just 2-3 years ago, Indiana was a 2-win football team. Now, no disrespect to Kirby, but he took over a team that Mark Richt didn't exactly have in the dumpster. Mark Richt maybe couldn't get over the. I say this about Mark Richt all the time. Mark Richt gets a bad rap because, unfortunately, Mark Richt, in my opinion, is like the Charles Barkley or the Patrick Ewing of college football. It's just unfortunate that he coached during maybe 2 of the all-time greatest coaches coached in the same conference as him. And I'm talking Urban Meyer and Nick Saban. That unfortunately is what Mark Richt ran into. He had to coach against Urban Meyer and Nick Saban. It's not like Georgia wasn't there every year competing for the SEC. Unfortunately, he had to run into Urban Meyer and Nick Saban. And I think Mark Richt gets such a bad rap, and he really had Georgia as a good, competent football team. Kirby Smart didn't take over a dumpster fire; took over a good football team. Cignetti took over a dumpster. Exactly, Champs 99. And that's what I'm saying. Mark Richt didn't have a bad program at all. So it's just another like dynamic in this debate, Kirby Smart versus Cignetti. Like what Cignetti took over and what Kirby Smart took over is polar opposites. Kirby took over a team with talent. People like to knock Mark Richt because he never won anything. Again, he coached against some of the best to ever do it. You can say what you want about Urban. You don't have to like him. He's one of the best that ever did it. We all know Nick Saban is in the short list of GOATs. This is like Charles Barkley, Patrick Ewing. Unfortunately, they played in the era where Michael Jordan just reigned supreme. And unless you're Akeem Olajuwon, who won the 2 years or the year and a half Michael Jordan sat out, you didn't win under Michael's reign, his prime. I know the 80s, right? But that's just, unfortunately, that's just how Rick, you're Karl Malone, you didn't get a championship. Well, that's because you played him against Michael Jordan for 2 straight years in the finals. It's the same thing with Mark Richt. Like, you didn't win, couldn't win a natty. Well, that's because you had Urban Meyer and Kirby and Nick Saban knocking on the door every year. Like, you couldn't get past that hump because those are GOATs. They fired Rick because they couldn't get over. They felt like they couldn't get over the hump. I mean, that happens a lot. Look what the Knicks did last year with Thibodeau. The Knicks made it to the Eastern Conference Championship, and then they fired their head coach. That happens a lot in sports. Mark Jackson, he got fired, and again, I know there's a bunch of reasons why Jackson got fired or didn't get fired or whatever the case. At the end of the day, Mark Jackson had a winning team and he got fired, and Steve Kerr went on to win championships. It happens all the time in sports. When organizations feel like a coach has reached his cap, they'll fire him if they feel like. Look what Tampa Bay did with John Gruden and Tony Dungy. Like that's what happened to Mark Richt. That's not like crazy. It happens all the time. Happens all the time. For better or worse, for right or wrong, it happens. Mark Richt did not run a bad program while he was at Georgia. He just couldn't get over the proverbial Nick Saban, Urban Meyer hump. Right. Nick Franklin gets fired because he can't beat two teams in his conference. Essentially, he couldn't beat either one. Two teams that out-recruit him by a mile. I did it on here one night. We went over Michigan and Ohio State and Penn State's recruiting rankings since Franklin was the coach. Franklin had Ohio State is a perennial top 5 recruiter. Michigan is almost the same, with the exception of 1 to 2 or 3 years. Michigan is top 5 in recruiting. Penn State had, I think, 2 years in the top 5 under Franklin. And yet Franklin was there every year. This was the first year where Franklin didn't have, and they didn't hesitate to fire him. Good luck to him. I think he's going to have Virginia Tech looking pretty good personally. I hear that they are sacrificing the football program in the short term to better position themselves for the Big Ten, buying the hospital and making themselves a better research institution. I've heard similar things about having with that AAU status or whatever they call it. I've heard similar things. If you want to say you're right about Sig over Kirby, go ahead. But Kirby didn't get to coach G5 and get his batting straight. He went straight into pressure cooker at UGA. He didn't go to JMU first. No, he only coached under Nick Saban for multiple years and got the head coaching job because of what? I think it now this may be me, but Urban Meyer also at the time Utah was G5. Urban Meyer did what he did at Bowling Green in Utah and then went to Florida. I think it's more difficult to go from G5 to Power 5 and be successful. That's just me. Again, Kirby didn't take over. You would have a point, in my opinion. You'd have a point if Kirby went from Bama and took over Duke and turned him into perennial. Like, he took over Georgia, bro. Georgia. Took over Georgia. I think it's more difficult to do what Sig did than what Kirby did. Again, Google him. Speaking of Signetti, Google him. His own words, Google me. Google him. Just Google him. I think it's more difficult to do what Sig did than what Kirby did. You think Sig ends up at Bama? I think if Bama is smart, that might be the move. So Mark Richt gets a X or he gets knocked because he's losing to Steve Spurrier. National championship winning Steve Spurrier. That's a knock. It's not a knock. South Carolina hasn't been good since Steve Spurrier. What are we talking about? He gets knocked because, again, losing to Kirby as Nick Saban and hey, bro. I mean, we all got our own standards. I just I don't know. Sig not leaving Indiana. I think he would if the right job came. I think he would. I guess the only argument you can make is that he wouldn't want the pressure. But I don't know, man. I think Sig might make that move. He coached there under Saban already, so it's not like he's unfamiliar with Alabama. No, I just said that. Sig coached under Saban. But you just said yourself he went from So Sig, unlike Kirby, didn't get the Power 4 job. Sig didn't go from Bama to Georgia. Sig went from Bama to JMU to Indiana, which still isn't Bama. Kirby literally went from Bama to Georgia. Right on the same level in terms of resources, recruiting, all of that stuff. Sig went Bama, JMU, Indiana, and now Indiana's here. It's only the hardest job in college football because of what Nick Saban accomplished. Look at that job before Bama. Before Saban. Bama was an average run-of-the-mill SEC program. I mean, yes, I'm not saying it's not Mark's fault. Mark got fired for that. 100% Mark's fault. I'm just saying that Kirby took over a way better situation than Sig did. I don't think that's debatable. Right? It's not debatable. Is Bama the hardest job in college football? That's a great question. A lot of pressure. I will admit, even before Saban, they had a lot of pressure. I mean, Bama might be the hardest job in ball. I think Notre Dame is another hard job. Um, what are some other hard jobs in college football? Obviously, it's not Florida State because Florida State accepts assery. FSU accepts being ass, so it's not FSU. You would have thought the way they treated Willie that Florida State would be one of the toughest jobs in the country. The way they treated Willie, and then they settled for Mike Norvell and let him be ass for 5 out of 7 years. Anyway, Bama's definitely. I think Bama, Notre Dame are two of the hardest jobs in college sports. I think Ohio State's another hard job, especially if you're losing to Michigan. That's a hard job. Uh, those might be the three toughest jobs. Bama, Notre Dame, Ohio State. I think every other program in the country has shown that they'll settle for, I don't want to say mediocrity, but they'll let things slide. I mean, how does Lincoln Riley still have a job at USC? Thank you, Champs 99. See, I didn't even know that. But that just proves my point on Signetti, I think. I think Champ just helped my point on Signetti. The man went from Bama to Elon to JMU. His his trajectory was Kirby got gifted Georgia. Sig came from the bottom, from the mud. Thank you, champ. Appreciate that. Um, Sig will turn Bama back into Bama. What's up? What's up, CJ? Texas is I forgot about Texas. That's a good point. Texas is a hard job too. I agree with that. I forgot about Texas. Texas is a hard job as well. A Sig coach football team ain't going 3-9. That's the thing, Lenores. He's not going 3-9. He's not going 3-9. I agree. I don't think DeBoer is a bad coach. I think I just coaching's all about fits. I never thought DeBoer fit there, and Saban set such a he set the bar here. Saban set the bar so high that DeBoer had no chance of ever reaching that. And losing 38-3 to Indiana doesn't help DeBoer though. Losing to Florida State, 5-7 Florida State in week one doesn't help. DeBoer's got some bad losses. So yes, Saban did set the bar here, but DeBoer hasn't helped himself. At the end of the day, what did they say about good teams? Good teams beat the teams they're supposed to beat. Bama had no reason to lose to Florida State. Zero. No reason to lose to that 5-17. Florida State's ass. And he lost that game. And so that is where that's the problem. I hear you, Vontae. Whatever fan base is louder, Bama, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Texas, Oklahoma. Out of those, I think Notre Dame. Maybe Bama or Notre Dame. So I've lived in Texas. Texas fans they're not that bad, from my experience. Been with Ohio State fans. I think Ohio State fans are down to earth. At least the ones I met. I would go Bama or Notre Dame. I haven't met any Oklahoma fans, so I can't really speak on those. Texas has won one championship in 1,000 years. You say Florida State ass, but y'all have a lot of. No, we don't. Name them. Mike Norvell don't recruit five. Norris, you do understand that Mike Norvell's been here 6 years, going on 7 years. Please name one 5-star on Florida State's roster, because I'll wait, because I don't have one. Matter of fact, FSU fans in the chat, name one 5-star on Florida State's roster. I'll wait. Norris, again, you don't get into this conversation with me when it comes to recruiting, because you don't know what you're talking about. I already proved you wrong with your own school. Don't question me in my school. Don't do that. FSU fans, please name one 5-star on Florida State's roster right now. I'm waiting. I might even pour me another drink. Name one. This isn't Willie Taggart's. This isn't the team that Willie Taggart took over. As a matter of fact, this isn't the team that Mike Norvell initially took over. Please name one 5-star on FSU's roster right now. So you're on the wrong channel for that, because he don't know what he's talking about, Vontae. He has no idea what he's talking about. Kirby had the advantage of working for Bobby. Facts. He was a GA, and then becoming a DC for six. Kirby worked under the two best. Absolutely, champ. Thank you. He's Champ on my side for once. Me and Champ usually go back and forth, but he on my side tonight. Hakeem was the only one, and he's gone. Kent. Bro, okay. Know who you talking to. Mike Norvell don't recruit 5-stars, bro. What you talking? There's a reason why FSU is where they are. I don't just talk out of my ass. FSU is where they are is because we don't recruit like we supposed to recruit. There is none. Hakeem was a lone one, and he's gone. Played at Buffalo last year. Not Buffalo, Colorado Buffaloes. So there's not one on the roster. We got a freshman coming in, the DB. He's a 5-star. That's it. FSU ain't got no 5-stars on the roster. You don't know one player because we don't have any. Make myself one more drink. I'm having fun with y'all. I know it's getting late. If y'all want to, it's 11:20 my time. I mean, I'm chilling. Having a good conversation with y'all. Lenoris, don't do that, though. Stop trying to downplay stars, Lenoris. It's okay. Your head coach recruits 5-stars legitimately. And if it was my head coach doing what Mario was doing, I'd be bragging about it. Because there's nothing wrong with it. For some reason, you're trying to downplay it. I think you're trying to downplay it to I feel like you're trying to downplay it to say that Mario's a good head coach, like a good X's and O's coach, when everybody knows he's not a good X's and O's coach. Deuce Robinson. And that's not a guy that you got out of so we have one. And that's not a guy that you got out of high school. He transferred from USC. Good catch, Ed. So we have one. Deuce. Like, come on, man. Mike Norvell don't recruit like that. Oh, we all having fun. Don't get me wrong, Lenoris. We all having fun. But the point is, Mario is where he's at because he recruits high-level talent. FSU is where they're at because Mike Norvell does not do that. And it's okay to say that. It's okay. Landon wasn't a 5-star, though. If you don't recall, whether you agree with it or not, Landon lost his 5th star after, I think, committing to FSU. If you go check Landon's final recruiting rankings, he was in the 5-star. I'm a double on it, but Landon didn't end up being a 5-star at all. He was a 4-star. Blue chip, don't get me wrong, blue chip player, but he wasn't a 5-star. Yeah, 92 overall. Hell, he fell out of the top 100. Even his composite ranking, 4-star. So Landon wasn't a 5-star at all. I see my boy Cam Davis left. Do you know why he left? He left because he's not that good. I don't know if you be watching me, CJ. Was never high on Cam, so it don't make no difference to me. Cam is going to Liberty. That should tell you all you need. I'm from the old school. I could care less about 5-star. Half of them will not be nothing in the NFL. That's the funny thing about it. Majority of the 5-stars get drafted. So even that, go look at that. Look, and I'm talking about obviously there's 7 rounds in the draft, so you're gonna have more 3-stars drafted. Check the first round. A lot of those guys in the top 15, 20, 30 picks, 5-stars. So when you tell me stars don't matter, you can check the draft, you can check the champions, 5-star. Is he now a 4-star? That's crazy. So, again, Mario built the team the right way. It's just nothing wrong with building the team the right way. Mario built the team from the inside out and it's working. And here they are. Mike Norvell likes to build a team from the outside in. Mike Norvell likes to sign a bunch of DBs, tight ends, running backs, receivers, and wonder why you can't block, can't get pressure on the quarterback, right? Different philosophies, and you see drastically different philosophies. You see one guy, again, in 6 years has 4 losing seasons. The other guy, in 4 years, 2 losing seasons, 2 winning seasons, and in his 4th year, he's in the national championship. I mean, you can't make that up. You can't make that up. Now, the only question you have for Mike Norvell is, if FSU had actually got the playoff bid in 2023, would that have changed Mike Norvell's trajectory in terms of building the roster, how he could recruit? That might be a valid question. I don't even think that's a valid question from the standpoint of, regardless of what happened, if you're a good recruiter, so to speak, if you're a good talker, good salesman, how did you not sell the fact that we had no control over what the committee did and still be able to sell your vision, sell your plan? Like, okay, 2023 happened. You have no control over what happened in 2023, but it happened. Mike Norvell wasn't able to sell anything off of that. You just tanked, like went straight to the abyss after 2023. I think that is indicative of what we're talking about here when it comes to Mike Norvell. Under Norvell, the only 5-star he signed were projects. All the 5-stars were not elite, if that makes sense. Yeah, there's no 5-stars. Again, Tylen Lee, like you can argue, oh, Tylen Lee a 5-star. Well, he's only a 5-star on 3 / Rivals. Like Rivals is, there's no composite. And from the moment I've started this channel, everything about me has always been composite. I go off of the composite. The 247 composite has Tylen Lee as the 223rd player in the country. 4-star but not 5-star. If you go to On Three, I don't know what they see, and I'm hopefully we get to see it next year with Tyler Lee. They had him as a 5-star. Again, I don't know why. Very drastic, uh, very drastically different recruiting rankings. But he finished On Three as a 5-star. But even their industry rankings, he's only slightly better than the composite. So FSU don't have any 5-stars like that. Not any legit, not no consensus legit 5-star. So interesting. He says, but you know what? If Norvell had a crystal balls roster, I think he would have went undefeated. I don't think Norvell would have lost to SMU and LSU with that roster. I think the proof's there. I think you again in 2023 you went undefeated regular season. I think there's legitimacy to what you're saying. But that again, it doesn't necessarily matter because in today's day and age of college ball, just get to the like look at Ohio State last year. Ohio State lost to Michigan right before the playoff, and then went on one of the greatest playoff run in the short stints that've been the playoff. Ohio State had one of the greatest. I mean, they blew everybody out in the playoff. It wasn't even competition in the playoff, almost like what Indiana's doing right now. Ohio State just went on a tear. You just got to get to the playoff. I agree with you though. I think Mike Norvell's a better in-game coach than Cristobal. But I stand by what I say. It doesn't necessarily matter. If you can recruit good enough, you can get players that are talented enough to where your coaching doesn't matter. And I agree with that, Jay. It wouldn't change anything because you and that's a great point because you went on a 19-game winning streak and you couldn't close on program changers, guys that would have changed the program, whether it's Keldrick Falk, KJ Bolden. You couldn't close on big time prospects, LJ McCray, Armando Blount, you name it. You were never getting Ruben Bain, but I'll throw him in the mix. The point is, when Mike Norvell was actually winning football games, he still couldn't recruit. He still couldn't sell the vision. He still couldn't close on elite program changing prospects. That's a fact. And I agree with Jay. 100%. You're right. The media was already, and I did a whole video on that. But the media was trying to get FSU. They wanted Bama all along. When Nick Saban announced that it was his last hoorah, FSU was an easy scapegoat because of the conference they played in. And all they did was keep winning football games. I mean, and this goes back to 2023. I told Miami, and luckily for y'all got the benefit of the doubt this year. But I get it, right? Your rivals, nobody wants to see the rivals winning. But y'all should have been outraged with that snub because the precedent that was set was ridiculous. And the committee hasn't addressed it. Bama had no business being in the playoff this year. Why did Bama not get penalized for losing their conference game, but BYU did? BYU had a better case to be in the playoff than Bama did. Notre Dame had a better case to be in the playoff than Bama did. So it never really got addressed. Granted, Miami got the nod, and they should have got the nod. I think a lot more people should have been in an uproar after 2023. But because of Florida State and they got, haters galore, nobody really stood on. There was only, if I remember, there was only two people in the media that was standing up fighting for Florida State. That was Dan Mullen, believe it or not, and Booger McFarland. Everybody else was like, "Oh no, Bama deserves what?" I think more people should have stood up for FSU, but here we are. I agreed. And if you couldn't do it, yeah, yes. Good night, Almighty. Appreciate you for kicking it. And that goes for anybody. I mean, man, I've been on a long time tonight because remember the stream got cut off. So I think in total we've been on for about 3+ hours. And that's just because I'm kicking it. That's what happens when you don't have a life, guys. You don't have a life, so you just get on live and just talk ball. I mean, I ain't got nothing going on. It's obvious that y'all in the chat ain't got nothing going on. Appreciate you, little Norris. So yeah, I mean, it is almost midnight my time, so I'll go till midnight. So I got about 30 more minutes in me. If you want to kick it, I got about 30 more minutes. Wante said he still got an hour. Richard Sherman and RG3 also went. I think I do remember RG3. I don't remember Richard Sherman. I'm not saying he didn't. I just don't remember. I do remember RG3 saying stuff. Well, you can't take much RG3 says because RG3 flip flops. Polk, they would have never snubbed Miami because Miami's prestige is tied to the prestige of their city. If FSU fans don't get over that snub, the next time FSU makes the playoff will be 2047. They'll have gray hair. Well, the snub, I'll personally, I'll never get over it. And that has no bearing on the next time FSU makes the title or playoff or not. I don't think FSU fans, personally, I don't think FSU fans should ever let that go. And they should bring it up every chance they get. Because it's one of, if not the most egregious, you name it, however you want to classify it. It's one of the worst things that's ever happened in the history of the sport. It really is. From the bare essence of what sports is. Sports is about one team versus another team and the best team winning. That's what the sport is about. I play you, you play me, we win the game or lose the game, whatever the case. But that's what it's about, the head-to-head competition. And they took that and they bastardized it. They said that winning didn't matter. FSU fans should never let that go. They should always remind whoever it is that they said winning doesn't matter. That they cared more about the brand name or whatever, or the recruiting, or whatever you want to say. They cared more about who looks better than they cared about actually winning on the field. They said winning on the field did not matter. This wasn't Tulane we were talking about. This wasn't some Sun Belt conference like Troy that played a bunch of. FSU played the Heisman winning quarterback that year and embarrassed him. play the Bolitnikov winning receiver that year and embarrassed him. Like, what do we? They told you they literally told you the on-field results don't matter. We're gonna put in essentially who we want to put in. They told you that in 2023. I don't think FSU fans should ever let that go. I don't think they should ever let it go. I'll never let it go. They should never let it go. The essence of what sports is, competition, 1v1. Me versus you. X team versus Y team. They snatched that. They said that doesn't matter. They said that is irrelevant. That's crazy. It's crazy. Best transfer so far. Let's look at. I guess I should look at the transfer portal at this. I don't. That's hard for me to answer. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't. I don't know if I have an answer for you. I don't know if I have an answer for you. The best transfer player so far might be. Believe it or not, it might be that offensive lineman. It's either the running back out of Texas or the O lineman out of Troy. Outside of that, I don't know. Outside of that, I don't know, bro. Matter of fact, let me share with you guys real quick who we have in the portal so far, just so you know. I'll let you can come up with your own. But you're talking about a cornerback from South Alabama, Bowling Green offensive tackle, Ashton Daniels. I think this guy right here might be the best overall get in the portal. He was a freshman All-American at Troy, for what that's worth. Ryan Kennedy, who, according to the Stars, this might be the best get in the portal. Texas running back. Chaplin's a pretty, 6'7", 348. You see a punter, another offensive tackle out of, I don't even know what school is that? Stephen F. Austin. That is insane. So, yeah. The best transfer portal addition. Let me just name. FSU right now has portal additions out of South Alabama, Bowling Green, Troy, East Carolina, South Austin, whatever, New Mexico, Illinois State, Purdue. The only top tier schools is Auburn, A&M, Texas, and Notre Dame. And I don't think they got. I mean, yeah. Whatever. Label that however you want to label that one. Crazy work going on right now in the transfer portal. Yeah. Turned it into a fashion show. They turned it into whatever they wanted to. Best transfer is anything new at linebacker. Doesn't matter. The national championship winner of 2010 is going to be the Hurricanes. Best transfer is a dude from Illinois State. They got the seventh best player. I forgot who it was. Stone Cold. Lenoris, you're lucky to get in this year. The punter was in the running for the Ray guy, so there's that. How are you going to say Miami going back to the Natty? I don't. We'll see what happens with that. Every time I see that list, I get a little bit sadder, bro. That list is that's some nasty work. And just some of the players that you've lost: Kevin Wynn, Arno. Arno played a lot of reps for you at DB. I don't know. Yeah. Lewayne McCoy. Earl Little, again, he's going to Ohio State by all accounts. Mandrill Desir, he was the freshman All-American. Wasn't it was it Mandrill? I think it was Mandrill that made the freshman All-American. Yeah, Amari's going to Mississippi State. Like the talent that you've lost is 100%, in my opinion, greater than anything that you've brought in. Edwin's going to Ole Miss. Kai Bates to Wisconsin. Like, you've lost some talented guys, man. And you've brought in a bunch of, in my opinion, man, you brought in some mid. But we'll see. At the end of the day, they get to get on the field and show that they're good players. Yeah. Vontae, the outgoing compared to the incoming is nasty. It's nasty. I don't. It's 100% nasty work, bro. That's a good question. Miami fans. Maui Go is going to the NFL for sure. What is Ruben Baines? Ruben Baines a freshman or a junior? Ruben Baines, I think he's eligible for the draft. So Ruben Baines probably gone. Mesendorf's gone. Obviously, you keep Tony. Beck's gone. It's a good question. Miami's going to lose some guys. We'll see how they re up, not rebuild, but reload, as they say. And honestly, they can all go. Yeah, but see, that's not how football works, though, Jay. That's my issue. Is yeah, it's easy to say, oh, well, they lost a bunch of games, so they can go, but that's not how football works. That's not how any sport works. You still have to keep talent, right? So just because you're on a losing team doesn't mean that losing team doesn't turn the corner. And you want to keep the talent that understands the scheme, knows the playbook, knows how to, like, you, in my opinion, right? You want to keep said talent that knows what the hell is going on. To just say, oh, we lost X amount of games last year, so everybody's expendable. I don't. That's not real. That's not how this works. Just my opinion. Who do we lose that has done something to help us win games? Not being a hater, just and I hear you. And again, that's the same conversation I was just having. Like, you're right. You only won 2 games 2 years ago and a game 5 games last year. But that doesn't mean, right? When you look at the transfer, It doesn't mean that Kevin Wynn can't help you win football games. It doesn't mean that Arno can't help you win football games. It doesn't mean that LaWayne McCoy. I'm just naming the guys, right? It doesn't mean that people can't help you win ball. Just because you didn't win in previous years. Amari Williams, like KJ Sampson, like you want to keep guys. In my opinion, you want to keep specifically these young players. Mario Nash. And Mario Nash didn't play last year. That's a young offensive lineman that you should have wanted to keep to build the depth of the O-line or compete for a job. Yeah, I get it, right? They didn't help you win, but is that a player thing or is that because I'm going to tell you right now, when Earl Little goes to Ohio State and they win 10, 11, 12 games, he's a starter. Is it Earl Little? Is it the coaching and the system in place that helped Earl Little flourish? I'm just of the belief that you keep talent. You just don't let talent walk. But FSU has allowed talent to walk, so that is what it is. Especially the young talent. Now the older talent, there's some names that I could care less that Florida State lost. I don't care about Justin Cryer. I'm just being honest with you. I've seen enough of him at linebacker to know what he is as a player. He's not going to go to Texas and do anything spectacular. I don't believe. I don't care about low key. I don't necessarily care about Lucas Simmons. I think I would have liked to keep him. Again, that's his body type is NFL tackle. But I mean, he was here for 3-4 years. You didn't get nothing out of him. I'm okay. I don't know why they didn't keep Sawchuk. James Williams, don't care about losing him. I watched enough of him. Not that good of a player, right? So there's definitely players that you go, Jason Jenkins, Jaden Jones. Like there's guys that just aren't good players. But these Jesse Harrell, you want to keep the Jesse Harrell. That's a freshman. You want to keep Mario Nash. That's a freshman. You want to keep Kai Bates. You want to keep Elijah Moore. You want to keep Manasseh. You want to keep Amari. You definitely want to keep the Desir twins. Right? So there's a lot of players that we let go that we should not have let go. Just my opinion, though. Well, Mario Nash was a true freshman. If they didn't think he was a guy, then why did you accept his commitment? When Hand took over, he didn't have to bring him in. I get it. He was an Atkins guy. He was still a young, promising freshman. Regardless of whether he was an Atkins guy, whoever guy, I don't care what guy he was. He's a young 6'5", like he's a young talent. Again, I'm just more inclined to keeping the young players. Yeah, they can help us win games, but did they? I mean, but nobody helped us. We kept so. I guess here's the logic. You go, oh, they didn't help us win games. Did Deuce Robinson help us win games? As a matter of fact, because Deuce couldn't hold the ball down the stretch of games, including the fumble, you could argue that Deuce Robinson was responsible for us losing some games because he can't make a clean. But everybody's okay with keeping Deuce. I'm okay with keeping Deuce. I wanted to keep Deuce. I'm simply saying, like, if we're gonna use that logic, use it for everybody. You can't be happy that we keep Deuce Robinson and then go, well, Deuce Robinson didn't help us. We won 5 games. What about Chroma? Everybody wants to Chroma. Everybody loves Chroma. Chroma didn't show anything. He didn't help us win games. So my point is, we picking and choosing. Oh, well, this guy, this guy. At the end of the day, I want to keep young players. Football's about depth. Football's about because injuries happen. Football's about familiarity, cohesion. Switching 40, 50 players out every year doesn't help you. Keep some of these guys. Learn the system. Everybody says Tony White's defense sucks. Well, maybe if you stay in the system, learn the system, you play better the next year, right? I guess that's just how I feel. Yeah, Benson played very well at Oregon. On being absolutely trash. I won't even call him trash at Florida State. He didn't have a quarterback that can get him the damn ball, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. So to me, when people say, "Oh, this guy, that guy, he was a part of a 5-win team. He was a part." I'm saying, well, so was the guys that y'all want to keep. So make it make sense to me. Everybody wants to keep Deuce Robinson. He was a part of a 5-win team, right? Everybody wants to keep Sam Singleton. Sam Singleton was a part of a 2-win team and a 5-win team. He didn't help. But if we lost Sam Singleton tomorrow, everybody would have a fit. Jabril Rawls, he came back, but everybody was hot. He was a part of a 2-win team and a 5-win team, by the way. So we use that argument. Oh, he didn't help us win games. Well, there's a lot of guys that you also want to keep that didn't help us necessarily win X amount of games. At the end of the day, you want to keep. I'm about keeping talent. You keep talent. Keep talent to build depth, experience. Eventually, guys get better. Mario Nash might not be great today, but it doesn't mean he can't be great tomorrow. I don't know. That's just how I. Again, that's just me, right? That's just how I go about it. That's just how I. That's just how I judge it. Uh, that's just how I look at it. I hope FSU keeps losing. Thank you, Lenoris. I mean, Zay kind of saying what I'm saying. Keep talent, bro. Like you get like this. The fact that FSU fans are so, the fact that Florida State fans are so cool with just throwing talent away. Oh well, they were a part of a 2-loss team or a 2-win team. They were part of okay. And again, so were the players that you want to keep. Were also a part of said team. The fact that you're so willing to just throw talent away to me is I don't know. I don't agree with the mindset. That's not how real football teams are built. That's not how real thing that's not how it plays out in real life. If you're a what's to say? If you're a self-starter, inner motivated guy that played hard regardless, stay. If you get your confidence broken, then pack it in and try to stay. At least I'm getting money. You can go. Yeah, so how many of those guys fall into either category? I don't think as a fan you can really determine. Like as a fan, you don't know if I mean Jabril Rawls, he obviously when he entered the portal and came back, but he obviously that was a play, right? So do we, as a Florida State fan, quick question: do you want Jabril Rawls here or not? Because he played the game, he hit the portal, he played for money, he wanted to get more money, and he got that apparently. But he hit the portal. Is he loyal to Florida State or is he loyal to the bag? Do you want him here or not? He's obviously a talent, but do you want him or not? I'm just asking a question because like we say these things, we say, "Oh, I want guys that want to be here." No, y'all want the same thing that people like me want. You want the best players, but y'all like the y'all want to disguise it as, "Oh, I want a player that's no blooded." Is Jabril Rawls no blooded, or is he making the same play that everybody else was making to get more money? Granted, he came back, so ultimately you can say, "Oh, he's no blooded." Is he? Would he have hit the portal to begin with if he wasn't? When the Deceers come back, if they come back, are they no blooded or are they just playing the game to get more cash? I'm just asking questions. Raw signed a he has signed to a new agent. And again, I've made this argument about whether or not guys are actually hitting the portal or announcing they're hitting the portal. You're still making a play of I'm hitting the portal or I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like you're still making it known. And I'm just using Rawls as an example because he was one of the more premier players to hit the portal and essentially, or threatened to hit the portal. Same thing Joshua Farmer and all these other guys do, where you make the threat, you make the play of hitting the portal to up whatever leverage you're trying to have. Either way, if you're no blooded, would you do that? Should you do that? My it was just announced, I think today or yesterday. Micah Danzy is coming back. Probably struck a new deal. Never hit the portal. So that's what I'm saying. Like that's the balance that I'm talking about. On one hand, you got players who, even if they don't officially hit the portal, they're announcing I'm in the transfer portal to negotiate, whatever. Then you have other players, Deuce Robinson, Micah Danzy. There's other players that never officially hit the portal, but somehow their deals are able to get struck behind the scenes. So when you tell me it's the agents, no, it's not the agents, guys. It's the players. Players pick and choose. Are they loyal to the? Are you loyal to the logo? Are you loyal to the bag? What are you loyal to? It doesn't even matter because the fans are going to pick and choose who they want to root for. Say is a good loss, a good take. None of that matters. Y'all pick and choose who y'all want to root. Oh, this guy doesn't matter. I don't care about losing Earl Little. Ohio State seems to care about the talent. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Florida State fans gotta figure it out. Just be honest. Losing talent is never fun. I don't care what you think about certain. I don't care what you think about. Oh, the overall losing talent isn't. And I'm not talking about losing a kicker or a punter. Right? I'm not talking about losing Gavin Holman. Who the hell is Gavin Holman? I don't know, and you don't know. But he was on Florida State's roster last year. I'm not talking about losing guys like that. But I am talking about losing guys like Shamar Arno, true freshman, played a lot of reps for you. I am talking about losing Kevin Wynn. I am talking that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. That's just me though. It's a Mike Norvell mercenary culture. So you got to Mike Norvell built the culture. I agree with Ed. And I said it. I mean, we can go back and forth, but I said as much. Mike Norvell built this. He set that precedent of It doesn't matter how long you've been at Florida State. We're going to transfer portal over you. I think the only player that ever avoided the transfer portal, even though they tried year in and year out, was Maurice Smith. Maurice Smith is the only player who started at center for FSU every year. But they tried the same thing with him. Every year they tried to get a better center through the portal than him. Either the center they would get got hurt. Remember the Wisconsin kid they got? Well, he got hurt, never played for you. Interesting. From what I think he's being I don't think he's officially committed yet. I think it's been crystal balled. Is Donnie's I think I would assume Donnie's still on the roster. I don't think Donnie's a hot commodity, Vontae, to be quite honest with you. I don't think anybody's lining up to look for Donnie Herbert to hit the portal. But man, that's all I got tonight, guys. I'm done. 3 hours strong, actually longer than 3 hours because of YouTube tried to cancel your boy. We went about 4 hours tonight, but we were kicking it, having a good time. That's all I got. Hit the like button on the way out if you didn't hit it on the way in. Yeah, we talked about a little bit of it all, like good conversations. We'll end on this comment from Champs. He said, "It's the player's job to be good enough that they can't be beaten out, and it's the coach's job to try and replace you with." I don't disagree with that actually. The coach's job is to recruit better players. Is to recruit better players than the year previously. I agree with that. It's the player's job to play or practice or get better. It's the coach's job to get better players year in and year out. The issue becomes when you are not recruiting guys to be better than you. And so there is a difference in the portal and the recruiting. And I think there's a difference from the mindset of the player. I don't think players have a problem with recruiting. I think players have a problem with the portal and bringing in a second or a 2 or 3 year player to take my job or compete for my job when I'm a first or second year player, or a red shirt sophomore, whatever the case may be. I think players want a system of loyalty where they say to themselves, I think when it comes to recruiting, right, I think if you get guys in position matchups and the best guy wins. The problem with the portal is that you don't bring in a portal player for X amount of money with not the expectation of playing. I think that's the difference, right? I think that's the difference. If I'm a left tackle and I'm a redshirt sophomore, or a redshirt freshman for that matter, and you bring in a freshman left tackle through high school, okay, we can battle that out. I think players have a problem with, I'm the redshirt freshman, I'm the redshirt sophomore tackle, and you bring in the junior from the portal who's getting paid X amount of money. The incentive is to start him because the money's invested in him. You can say the best guy. In theory, the coaches can say the best guy wins. In theory. But when you're paying X guy $800K, he's going to start because the money's invested in the portal player. I think that's where the disconnect is. You're right in theory, but again, this is a different college football than in previous years. It doesn't work the way that you're describing it, champ. Yeah, in theory, you bring in guys to overtake the current guys. But also, in theory, those guys get to actually battle it out, and the best guy wins. I honestly think most players can deal with we compete in practice, in training camp, and the best guy gets and deserves the job. I think what players are having a hard time dealing with is we compete, but I know that they have X amount of dollars tied up into you that no matter how hard I compete, unless you just suck, you're going to start. You're going to play because they have 800K tied into you, or 700K tied into you, whatever the case may be. I think that's the difference. But with all that said, hit the like button, subscribe for whatever reason. If you're not, which everybody should be subscribed, hit the like button and continue to share the content for your boy so we can continue to grow the channel. As always, it's your boy Pope over here on 863 Seminole TV. Stay classy, Seminoles. We are out here. Go Noles. And we are rooting for the Hoosiers in the national championship. Sorry, Miami fans. Congratulations for making it. Shout out to this experience for y'all. I've experienced this in my lifetime. A lot of you Miami fans, especially if you're like under 30, have never experienced this. So congratulations to y'all. But I'm out, man. Y'all have a good rest of y'all's night or morning, whatever the case. And yeah. It's tough being a Florida State fan. That's right. Vontae said it the best. 863 Hoosier TV. Let's go, baby. I'm out here. Y'all have a good rest of y'all's night.